Welcome to Coding with Jess. Happy Wednesday. It is now, I guess this is probably like the 12th or 13th Wednesday that I've done this in a row. So happy to have you if you're tagging along. Coding with Jess is a place where you get to code along with me while I build a thing. And for the last 8 or 9 weeks or so, we've been working on a tool called Mumbler. Mumbler is a decentralized blogging tool that, in the vein of Tumblr, if you'll recognize the name Mumbler from there. And the goal of building Mumbler has not been to build a startup or to build another product that's going to take over the blogging world, but rather to become familiar with sort of the decentralized, what would the architecture of a decentralized application be like? What things does a decentralized infrastructure make easy? What things does it make hard? What's the current state of the libraries that are out there, the underlying technologies for things like file storage and authentication, stuff like that. So we've been learning a lot about that over the last 8 or 9 weeks, and we found that some things are a little confusing. We found that other things are really easy, and that having a decentralized architecture allows you to build certain things very simply. So anyway, we're continuing our trek on Mumbler today. If this is your first time tuning in with Coding with Jess, what we're going to do today is I'm going to be live streaming for 2 full hours straight, basically just working on Mumbler, some of the features and stuff like that. And as I'm doing the live streaming, I divide my work into 4 work blocks using Pomodoros. So we'll start a timer, I'll work for 25 minutes, and then we'll take a 5-minute break. And then between each of those 5-minute breaks, I'll walk away from the computer, walk outside, think about something else, and then come back to it. And so we'll do 4 Pomodoros for the next 2 hours working on Mumbler. So let's dive right in. All right. So as most of you know, I like to keep like a little document that kind of overview of what I'm planning to work on today and like type out my work session. So today, the high level goal, which we're very, very close to, is get the proof of concept of Mumbler to the point where non-developers can use it. Right now, it's definitely to a point where you could like fork the repo or clone the repo locally and set it up, and the static site generator works and the front end works, but it's a little clunky. There's some things that you have to be careful of. And so here's a list that I made up of, actually we made this list last week as we were working on things last week, and reviewed it this morning, and it looks like I still think the right list of things to work on to get it to the point where a non-developer can actually use it. And then what do we do next? I'm not sure. Well, there's a lot of different things we could possibly do. But before we go too much further, let's go ahead and start a 25-minute timer and get kick off our first Pomodoro. All right. So a couple things that we need to work on today, which we'll start with removing the title. One, you might remember what the UI looks like. This is Mumbler right here. There's a title, there's a body, and then you click publish to publish the website, or to publish the thing. Actually, it looks like I would have expected there to be a build site button up here. Something's looking a little funny to me. Let's check out localhost. It's running. So let me bump. Yeah, that's weird. So there's build. The build button should be up here in the top right hand corner. I'm not sure if Netlify failed, so that's something we'll need to check on. This is the code deployed in production, running on mumbler.netlify.app, and it looks like there might be a discrepancy between the production deployment and what's running in localhost, which is what's running on the main branch. So we'll need to investigate that. Let me write that as a note here at the top before we dive into the title piece. Figure out why main branch and production appear to have diverged. So we needed to go check the auto deploy on Netlify and see if there was like a failure in the deployment. It's possible. But as I was saying, the things we're going to work on today, there's a couple things. One, we're going to remove the title because it's not actually used. So you notice we have a title, a body, and a publish thing. If you've been following along for a while, I use Fission Drive. These things write to an IPFS directory, which you can see using Fission Drive. So if you go to, I think it's under posts. Yeah, here are my posts right here. So this is the title, a post on a random Wednesday.md. But we don't actually use that when we generate the actual site. So this is actually, I think it's under stream.jessmart.in is the site. So there's the change the mental model. Like we only use the body of the post. We don't use the title when we're building the static site. So we'll need to. This was like a relic of the very first week when we were doing the design around this. We put a title there, we put a body there, and we decided not to use it, but we've never removed it. So we'll do that today. The other thing we're going to do today is automatically write out the posted at date to the front, to the YAML, in YAML front matter. So you might remember the way that we're handling these dates for each one of these blog posts is that we write a posted at field to front matter. This, if you used Markdown before, this little section up here at the top is called front matter. It's delimited by these triple dashes, and then this is YAML format in the middle here. Can be other languages as well. But you have to use that posted at to designate when the post was published. And there's some interesting reasons why that is the case. You don't get reliable times at which things are written to the file system when you're dealing with a decentralized file system like IPFS, which is pretty interesting. So one of the things that we're doing right now is when I'm writing a post in Mumbler, I actually have to manually put the thing up here at the top and then write the post. And that's lame. Like we should automatically populate the posted at. It makes it a lot easier to use. This does make it more flexible in one way, in the sense that you could write a post that was in the past, but that's not like necessarily. This is supposed to be more Tumblr-like, easy to use, not super customizable necessarily. And so let's move that posted at, manually populate that posted at for each post, and then we don't have to force people to write it in the top. Again, I think that's fairly unfriendly to like non-developer users. And then finally, we should probably update the UI when a post is successfully published. Right now, when you click publish, it kind of doesn't give you any kind of notification that things succeeded. We're getting we're getting some nice console logs that tell us when things succeed, but nothing in the UI updates. So we should probably do that. So a couple of, like I said, tiny little things that we want to fix today that should get this thing ready for non-developers to use. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I do watch the chat during these work sessions. So if you wanted to interact in the chat, feel free to. I'll try to keep my eyes over there every now and then, and maybe respond, say hi, answer questions, that kind of thing. All right. So the first thing we noticed this morning is this is our production instance running on Mumbler Netlify app. This is our local host. And for some reason, this build button, which we worked on last time, or actually over the last 2 weeks, is not present in the Netlify version. So let's go over to Netlify and figure out why that might be. Log in. Let's see, Mumbler over here. Aha! So we are getting some failed production deploys. Let's go ahead and figure out why might that be, and see if we can debug what's going on here. Build script, failed during building site. Oh, you know what? I think I saw this last time. So what we should do to test this out, I've got Npm Run Dev is running right here in this console. So I'm going to pop up another one right here. We can actually test out the command that's being run on Netlify and type Npm Run Build. And I think it has to do with a type error. That's right. So for whatever reason, our TypeScript type checking is stronger in production than it is using Npm Run Dev, because we're seeing the site actually run successfully, but when we try to do this build, we're actually seeing a failure here. And what this is telling us, and it seems like I looked at this last week and figured out a way to get around it, but clearly I didn't make the change and check it in, so we're going to kind of figure it out together. All right, so I just opened the code. Most of the code lives in this single main.ts file, and if you wanted to follow along, you could actually jump over to my repo, github.com/JessMartin/Mumbler. So that's this repository. If you want to look at the source yourself instead of having to quote unquote watch over my shoulder. But the pretty much all the code lives in this single main.ts file, and you'll notice that it's only about 250 lines of code. Right now it is also vanilla JS, even though it's written in TypeScript, meaning that I'm not using a framework like React or Vue or Svelte or anything to control the UI, and so I have a lot of code in here that's just literally UI update code, and so this probably is actually closer to like 75 or 80 lines of actual logic going on here, so pretty simple to understand and read through. That being said, the code is not super well factored, since I mentioned at the beginning of the design for this is to be a proof of concept. This is not intended to be a long-running production system, all that kind of stuff. In fact, we may do a complete rewrite of this into a more production-ready form once we've proved out the main concepts. So where's the problem? Here is line 123. You see this red squiggles. Any property is file does not exist on type object. So what's going on here is in this, this is the function that responds to clicking build site. So in the top right-hand corner, we've got this build button. And what the build site button, or sorry, what the build site function does is it reads the most recent markdown files from IPFS, which is this first thing. You can see some of my comments left in here. And then it, for each markdown file in IPFS, it generates the HTML for it, and then it inserts all of that HTML into a template HTML file, which we actually have stored right here, template HTML. It embeds those that markdown converted to HTML inside that template HTML file, and then writes that HTML file back to IPFS, and that's where you get the actual stream dot, and then it ends up looking like this. So these are the actual markdown files converted to HTML, and then they're embedded in this larger frame. Now, the problem here is that as we go through and iterate over the files in IPFS, the markdown files in IPFS, what we get back from that is not is this links object. So the links object, so we may need to jump into the web native docs. So what we probably need to do here is we probably need to import a type from the file system, from the web native library. And as we have discussed on past live streams, I am not a TypeScript expert. Even using TypeScript on this project has been a way for me to learn about TypeScript. So the two things that I'm kind of learning decentralized application architecture and learning TypeScript at the same time, which is one of the reasons I didn't pick a framework, because I didn't want to have a third thing that I was also trying to learn. And on one of our last live streams, one of the commenters commented that we could overwrite, that we could kind of force TypeScript to treat link as an object and get past in a previous error. The problem is that object as a type does not have this isFile property on it, and so we need this thing to actually be typed as the right thing as opposed to as an object. And so we're going to have to dig into the web native library, figure out what the right thing is, either import that type or create a type ourselves, and then assign this this link to that. What's up, Million Grad? Thanks for joining along. And yeah, so let's see how we might do that. Let's see over here. Go to the web native docs, which will be right here. Here's their file system documentation, which is the main thing that we're using. And if we scroll down, it looks like all of this is straight up JavaScript, not TypeScript. But here is the ls method, I believe that, yeah, so fs.ls, so list the contents of this directory, returns a list of links at a given directory or path. So this returns an object that has a name. Oh, good. Here's the type. So this is saying the object will have, I'm not sure what these brackets mean exactly, a name which is a string, which points at a link. So the link here, this is the type that we need. Object with the file name as the key and its link as the value. And so what we're doing here is when we do this line 119 here, we do object.entries, we're getting a links object. This actually should be type link, or actually array link, I think. I think that's the way we want to represent it. And then for these, when we're iterating over this filter method on this array, each of these links should be type link. And I think it will be implicitly typed. We may need to like specify it as well. So then our problem now is that we need to go find the type definition for link and import it. And I'm not exactly sure where it lives, like where the types are in Web Native File System. I could definitely go ask on our Discord real quick. In fact, I might go do that really fast. Let's see. I know this is off screen, so you guys can't technically see this. Where does the link type live in Web Native? So what I'm looking for is a solution that looks like this. Import link. Oh, look. I actually, did you see that? When I was doing that, there was a pop-up. Doggone it. So that gray right there is Copilot trying to complete it, which I don't think is correct. Oh, come on. How do I get that to come back up? There it is. Web Native File System type. Boom! Never mind. That was cool. So this is where IDEs are actually nice sometimes, instead of just straight up text editors. So I believe that's the type that we need. Let's come back down here. What's it complaining about? String link is not assignable to type link array. But I'm doing an object entries here. So this thing, it's saying this is going to be of type links. So apparently links is a type as well. Interesting. So links, link. Grab both of those. The links object is that. And then when I get the entries, oh, I'm doing object.entries. Maybe that's the problem. So this is not correct, I guess. Wait, I mean, if I'm doing object.entries, that's going to return an array. Yeah, returns an array of key values. Oh, it says array like. Object constructor entries link. It's going to return an array like object of links, or the type string link is not assignable. This syntax right here just looks really weird to me. It's like it's a doubly nested array. All right, let me leave this off and let it implicitly type and see what we get. Delete 2 equals, or not. All right, now we're gonna let TypeScript's implicit typing take care of it. And then as we come down here, I wonder if this we need to specify is a link. Oh, actually, we might be able to continue to let implicit typing take over and just remove this link. Now, what does this think it is? Is file does not exist on type link. That's surprising. Okay. So this is actually a good error, although it surprises me that that's actually a problem. So And the reason this is surprising is we haven't changed anything functionally around this code. We've only been looking at type annotations here. And in fact, we could probably remove this type annotation for now. And we probably get the same error here. Yep. So it's implicitly figuring out that this is about link. I do think it's probably good form to add the type annotations, but I don't exactly know. As not a TypeScript expert, I'm not sure what the sort of right way to write TypeScript is. I still don't have a good intuition around that. But we haven't changed anything functionally about this code, and I have run this code before and know that it works. And so a little surprised here that it is telling me that that function does not exist on link. So there is an API somewhere in here. So the guide has like more narrative form. There it is, platform API guide. No, that's link. I just want the like literal web native API docs, which are somewhere out there. There we go. Cool. All right, now we can look on link here. Actually, we'll do this. I love searching inside of a site. Ah, it's on path. So is file. Interesting. So let's see if we can go to the ls function. Where would that be? That would be on file system. I remember this being super difficult to navigate when I was messing with this the other day. Vision SDK, file system. I think it's under like internal. Yeah, there it is. File system, ls. All right, here we go. Returns a promise with links. And then here's link, which a link can be, oh boy, yay, could be a hard link, a soft link, or a base link. And again, there is no is file here. So the problem we're trying to solve for here, just so we can think about this correctly, is when we do an ls over a directory, we get back a list of everything that's in that directory. What we only want to consider the files in that directory, because this could be a directory that contains other directories. And so I want to get a list of the files first. We probably also want to make sure that they're a markdown file, which I realized that I don't do that checking here. Interesting. So there's like, I'm making the assumption that if it's a file in here, that it's a markdown file. And so what I need to do is say, hey, filter out the files, or filter out the things that are in this directory that are not files. And I know that this code works because I've run it. There's no tests wrapping it, which is another kind of annoying thing about this particular code base working with it. I'd rather have a set of unit tests. For something that I'm going to be doing, if it weren't a proof of concept, I'd have a set of unit tests that would wrap it, that I could run on here. All right, so okay. So taking a step back here, ls says it's returning links. Link says there is no isFile method. And yet, at the same time, there is an isFile. On, where was it? Path. Is this distinctive path a file? Oh, interesting. So this is like path, you pass in a path and then you get a Boolean back. Um, hmm. So what I guess we could do is iterate over the paths, because if you remember correctly, the ls function returns it returned a set of basically paths and then links to the files as this array. So it'd be like an array with a path and the key and then the file. So if we did this, but I think the paths were strings. So if you did path strings equals object.keys, I believe that is our set of paths. Let's do a console log. Good old console log debugging. And see what we get out of that. Jump over here. This is connected to, see that little green C over here? When it means we're connected to Jess Martin-Fission, which means it's running on this directory. What we probably should do is like put a directory in there. Oh, hey. That was interesting. I got disconnected for some reason. Oh, right. That's our disconnect button when you click it. I forgot we had made it that way. So when you click this, it disconnects you. But fortunately, we have reconnection working pretty well. So, all right, so let's go and build the site. Click build here. Whoops, let me bring up the console. Blog post saved, file system saved. So these are not paths, those are file names. That's what it was. They aren't even paths, they're file names. But we could build a path because we have the path that we did the ls on. So I could take this path and then add the file name to it and then ask in each case, is this a, but again, it works, right? Like we get, well, we don't know that it works because I don't have a directory in here. So let's create a directory. Add or create directory. We'll call this images or something reasonably sensible. All right, now we have a directory in here. So when I iterate over this, refresh, click build. Yeah, somehow that thing actually works. All right, well, we're at our first break now. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to work in Pomodoros. So we're going to take a 5-minute break every 25 minutes. So this is our first one of those. I'm going to go ahead and take a break now, and I'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll continue to figure out why TypeScript is complaining at us. All right, talk to you guys in 5. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are now at the beginning of our second Pomodoro of 4 Pomodoros working on Mumbler. And let me go ahead and switch over here to the desktop. We will start our next 25-minute timer. Okay, so 25 minutes on the clock. Let's crank, and then we will take another 5-minute break. So before the break, we were trying to figure out why our production builds had failed on Netlify, and we found out that the problem was a TypeScript problem of a property not existing on a specific type. So TypeScript was complaining when it was compiling, and we were fishing around to try and figure out what exact type this link had that allowed it to call this isFile. The API docs are actually a bit misleading. They show this isFile method only existing on paths, I think. Again, yeah, I think this only exists on paths. Anyway, what I figured out right after the break is we were trying to typecast this link as a link, but it turns out that there's another type called baselink that actually does have the islink directory. So I went ahead and imported that base link from the web native types and cast the link that we're getting back, or this link sub 1, which is like, must be, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to figure that out. As base link, and then we were able to call isFile. It's no longer complaining. Let's come run over here and run Npm Run Build, which is the command that Netlify will run once we check this in. And it looks like it is successfully building. Sweet. All right. Let's go ahead and check in this change. So pretty small change here. You can see from the diff, we imported baselink. We set the, oh, let's get rid of that console log statement. There we go. Makes the diff a little smaller. And we don't need path strings because I'm not going to actually use that either. So let's... Now, that's a nice clean diff. All we did was import an additional type baselink, and instead of typecasting this to an object, we typecast it to a baselink. isFile now works, so there we go. Let me check this in. I'm going to go ahead and check it in on main since we're already having a failing, effectively a failing build on main. So this is fix the build. TypeScript, type error. Ideally, we'd have that, again, this is a proof of concept, so we're not being as production careful as I would normally be, but normally I would want the build to like yell at me and scream at me when it's failing, instead of finding out by going to the production UI and noticing that it has diverged with what's in main. All right, so this is building. I think this is probably going to build, but we will keep an eye on it. So let's go down to the next, let's go over to our checklist. Figure out why main branch and production appear to diverge. Check. So satisfying. All right, now we get to remove the title. So let's go ahead and do that next. Let's see. This one, hopefully everything will succeed. Let me go over here. Watch this. Yes, it did succeed. So open, publish, deploy. I go back over here and hit refresh. There it is. There's the build button. Awesome. So production is now working. So now I'm going to check out a branch and say, call this usability tweaks. So we can actually be working in a branch here as opposed to working directly on main. Just sort of some general good hygiene. All right. So the current place that we're using title, we are actually grabbing the title here. Okay, so one thing we do need to do is when we're writing these files to when we're writing these files to IPFS, the files do have to have a file name. So we do need a file name. What I'd like to use for file name is probably just date.now. If you're super familiar with JavaScript APIs, you'll know that right away. Date.now is basically the seconds seconds since the epoch, or even it might even be microseconds. I'm not sure, but I think date.now will make a good. Actually, I wonder if this gives me like the. Oh, cool. I was just curious if that gave me like a drop down with the docs for it. But anyway, we'll use date.now. What that'll do is give us like a timestamp at which the file is published. No one's going to be publishing like multiple files in the same second, hopefully. At least we're going to make that assumption for now. So instead of the const title here coming from the document's, the actual content of that input, let's do date.now here. That's going to be a string. And so down here on line 93, where we're using, notice that we're inserting the timestamp, creating the file name, or sorry, we're creating the file name here by appending .md to the timestamp. So I'm going to actually change this to be file name to be a little clearer. Actually, the file name is this. This is just, you know what? Get rid of all that. And we'll just put date.now here. Actually, do I want to do that? I'm trying to think if there's any other place we're going to be using it. Well, we'll find out. Let me see if there's any other place where title is referenced in that. No, it's never referenced again in that method. All right, so we'll just use date.now. Now our posts are going to have a slightly different format. Something else we could do for the post format would be like take the first line and like, you know, it doesn't really matter. Well, in one sense, it doesn't matter what we store them as, but remember, this is the user's file system. So they own this file system and they might have other systems connecting to it. So for example, I'm using Vision Drive to browse my WinFS file system. And it is kind of nice to have the posts named something reasonable as opposed to just a timestamp. So we may want to change that later on to make it like first line dash timestamp or something like that, because it really doesn't affect the usability of our application. It's never going to show up in our application, but it will show up as these actual files with file names in their file system. So it might be helpful for them to be able to read it. But for now, we'll just use timestamp. All right, so that's the change we need to make in main.ts. Let's go remove it from the UI. Here's index.html. Here is the input. If I delete that, let's go see how that looks. Looks pretty good to me. But now we have a failure here because we are referring to title in a couple different places. So let's get rid of that. What is this exactly? Oh, this is our, okay. This is our generated HTML. Let's see if we're referring it to anywhere else. That looks like the only two places. Come back over here. Everything looks good. It's fine with just the body here. I am going to change that body because it's not super descriptive to say type the content of the post here. There we go. Okay. All right, everything looks good there. We need to try publishing a post. So let's see. It's a new post published without the body. Oh, don't forget though, we've got the posted at up here. For now, we have to do it this way, and we will change this. 629, hit publish. And as I mentioned before, you get no UI feedback that a publish has that it has succeeded, but there's all the things happening. It looks all good. If I come over here and hit refresh, there it is, 1656517363867.md. That's the stuff. All right, and there's the posted at set correctly. This is a new post. And then we should be able to build successfully, I believe. All right, let's see. Build, blog post saves, file system published. All right, now if I go to stream.jessmart, whoops, nope, in, There it is. New post published without the body. I love how fast that is. That's awesome. One of the questions I had when I was working on this is like, how quickly can things update from IPFS over to here? And the answer is pretty dang fast. So that was awesome. Cool. Nice small change there. Let's see. Add dot, remove the title, and use timestamp as file name. Push this to the origin. And there we go. So next, what was our next thing? Man, knocking things off the list. Remove title, done. Automatically write out the posted at date to the front matter. Okay, cool. This should be another pretty small change that's going to make things a lot nicer. Notice how when I was writing that test post, I just had to like fill out the front matter manually, which is kind of annoying and silly. So then let's see, where do we grab the actual content of the post? So this looks like the build site button. Let me close that. This is the save the file button. Okay, great. So in here, we grab the body here. This is a really good point. If the body's blank, we probably don't want to allow saving. Now, I think we're doing something reasonable here. No, we are not doing something reasonable here. We allow you to publish a blank post. Well, do we? File saved, file system published. I would expect another one. There it is. Yeah. So you can publish a blank one, which is not great. But let's start with the simple. Let's start with the happy path and get the proof of concept working, and then we can work on that little like improvement here to do. All right. When we grab the body, this is what we're going to insert. There it is. Body.value. So let's call this post content, and we'll grab body.value, and in front of that, ooh, I thought of another thing that I want to do. Write out the posted at, move the posted at format from date to full timestamp. So we may or may not do that today, but actually, what's the other thing on our list? Update the UI when a post is successfully published. We definitely want to do that before we do that. And let's surround that with some nice little ticks to make it all pretty. All right, so if you go to stream.thecephist.com, which is where I'm kind of borrowing this UI from, you'll see that he has these full date and timestamp, full date and timestamp links here. And I want to get to that from where we're currently at, which is mine, which just has dates. I like the way that this is formatted. The problem with that is that we're currently only storing the date here in the timestamp. We should probably do the full timestamp. That way, it also will allow for more intelligent sorting. If you publish 2 posts in the same day, it's going to be somewhat random based on the ordering of the posts, because we don't have any more granularity than a single day. So let's go close a bunch of tabs down, close that out, close that out, close that out. All right, back to localhost here. All right, so let's start with, so we'll do that. Maybe we'll get to that today. We're making a lot of progress now. Let's go ahead and automatically write out the posted at date without making the change about the format of it. So const, we'll make this we'll do like a here docs style. Const front matter equals, and I'm trying to remember how this works. I think it's like tick that posted at dollar. Sure, that looks, let's see if Copilot's right about that. Copilot guessed about what the format should be. Close. We actually want a to locale string, and we want that to, oh man, I think I used to have this code in, just think, where did I have it? Oh, I think we might have it in the static site generator. ENUS, yeah, it's this, pretty sure. Let's copy paste that in. Ah, except the way it's formatted, not quite. The way it's formatted leads with year, then month, then date, which is not ENUS. I think that is EN UK? No. Let's see. JavaScript to locale string. Hopefully that takes me to MDN. It does. I need the options for to locale string. There's the international datetime formats. That's great. Ready? How about ENGB? Now it's day, month, year. But no, I want year first. So wonder how I get that. Is there a list anywhere? Here's numbering system, calendar, HC, date style. What I really want is like a printf, or sprintf, I believe was the thing in Ruby, which is based on the C function that allows you to specify a format yourself. So let's see if, excuse me, see if there's a method for sprintf. I do not want an npm package to do this. No, absolutely not. Here's datetime format. Oh, here we go. Here's a format function. But yeah, see, date style, time style. No, I actually want to. All right, we'll do a quick Google for this. JavaScript, year, month, date, format. Yep. Looks like I've been here before. Yeah, see, I already know how this. I don't want to use a pre-existing formatting mechanism. I guess I could build it manually, but geez, like, surely they have a way of doing this. I guess there's a reason why there's a year, month, or an sprintf. Guess there's a reason why there's an sprintf npm library. Womp womp. All right. Yep, that's what I want right there. Format JavaScript as YYY Dismiss, go away. Whoa, to ISO string, split on T, take the first 0. Oh, that's actually not a bad solution. So what that's saying is, where did I have my, it doesn't matter. Date.now to ISO. Oh, date.now is going to give me a string. I want new date to ISO string. And notice how that beginning of that string is exactly the format we want. And so we just split on the letter T and get the first element. I like that. That's nice. Hey, you know, I could take that one line of code and turn it into an npm package and post it to npm. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. So here's our date. Take that out. To ISO string. We're gonna split on T, and looks like Copilot has seen this code before. Not at all surprised. All right, so there's our post date string. And so, wait a second. I made the change in the wrong place. But I'll take that and then undo it. to locale string. Great, leave that alone. That's in our static site generator. Let me fold that up and then come up here. Hey, there we go. We were almost there. Split on T sub 0. Oh, doesn't think I need that. And then post content is equal to front matter plus that. And I want to add a new line here. And that should probably work. And then instead of all right, there we go. We'll do a quick console log here of post content as well as write the file out. Let's get us a test. Testing out a file with front matter written for me. Publish. Oh, there we go. Interesting. Got some weird spacing here, which I think is due to the spacing in the JavaScript file. And that will, I'm pretty sure that will actually break. Ooh, yeah, and we got that hanging. All right. Yes, that is due to that spacing there. So I need to indent it like that, and then this also needs to come up here. There we go. And then where do we get that extra thingy? Okay, that all looks good. So one thing about JavaScript here docs is like between these ticks, it interprets every single space and every single like new line at literally. So we want to make sure that it's not indented at all. I'm glad that ESLint doesn't forcibly create that. Testing again, a file with front matter already embedded. Hit the publish button. There we go. That looks good right there. So now if I jump over to Fission Drive, let's just inspect it manually in Fission Drive to make sure that everything looks good here. I think it's this last one. Yep. Comparing that to our other ones. Yeah, 629. Yeah, that looks good. All right, I'm going to delete this file because it's not right. Remove. And then the one that we created that was empty, remove that one. And then this first one is the very first one we created. Okay, cool. Now, is there anything to change on the static site generator side? No, because we're not changing the format of the post to that. So let's go check out the diff real quick. We created some front matter. We created a post content composed of the front matter plus the body of the post that is coming in through that input, and we added a console log, which I'll get rid of. And I turned this into a to-do. So this was previously saying if body is blank, don't allow saving. Added it as to-do just to make it easier to search. Cool, nice, small, self-contained change. So automatically write out front matter. Cool, that feels really good. The last thing, and we have like 1 minute left in our Pomodoro here. Yeah, 1 minute left. Let's see how fast we can do this, I guess. It would be at the end of a successful publish right here. We should update the UI in some way. Let's go think about what we might want to do here. So here's Mumbler, localhost. When you click publish, you got a post here. You click publish. What should happen? One thing that we're doing that I kind of like is when you click build, watch the UI. So you get the build here. You get build successful. You get this visit site. Maybe we do something similar here by updating the like publish button with like publish successful. Yay. Um, oh, and one other thing interesting. We were talking about maybe changing the language around publish. I don't know, the build, publish, it might be confusing for an average user what actually means put this on the internet. Because right now, all publish does is it writes to IPFS. So the markdown file is stored out there, it's published out there in IPFS, but it does not automatically update their blog. You actually have to click the build button in order to do that. And so I don't know. We might want to change that language, but in any case, it's break time. So we have now been jamming for 2 Pomodoro sessions, or just right around an hour with a 5-minute break in between. So we've got 5-minute break coming up, and then I'll be back for our 3rd Pomodoro session where we'll continue working on Mumbler, making some great progress today on our to-do list. We are now automatically writing out the posted at date front matter. So over halfway done with the stuff we wanted to get done today, and about halfway done with our Pomodoro block. So I'll see y'all in 5 minutes. See you shortly. Alrighty, back from our Pomodoro break here and about to jump in to our last Pomodoro. So we've done 2 Pomodoros, about 1 hour of work. We've got about 1 hour ahead of us, another 25 minutes. We're gonna put that on the clock right now. Here we go. Boom, let's start our 25-minute timer and see where we're at. So far today, we have debugged a production deployment issue. We removed the title that's not being used, and we've automatically written out sort of the posted at. We've already automatically written out the front matter to make it a little bit easier to use. So the next thing we're hoping to do is update the UI when a post is successfully published. Right now, we give them no visual feedback whatsoever when a post is published. So I was noting right before the break that we've got right up here this build button, and when you click it, you actually get this nice, it turns into build successful, as well as gives you a link to be able to go straight to check out that site. So I think we might do something just mirroring that for now down here of like publish successful. We probably should also like disable the button when you click it, just so you don't like double, triple, quadruple click it while it's actually in the process of publishing, because publishing to IPFS is not fast. And so there's the opportunity for double, triple click type stuff happening. So maybe our process, just to write it up here, might be something like this. When the publish button is clicked, disable the publish button, replace the text with publishing, and when the file is successfully published, replace the text with, what did I call it? Publish succeeded? Publish successful. We could have a link directly to the file, but frankly, I think that's much less important than having a visit site button where you can actually go see the content, the site that you just generated and stored on IPFS. So I don't think there's a whole lot of use cases where people are going to actually want to see the file right now. So for the moment, let's leave that off. Plus that adds a little bit of extra complexity when there are probably some higher priority features we want to add. So let's just start with this. Update the UI when a post is successfully published. All right, let's jump into our event listener here function, async function. This is the function where we do all the things. So as soon as the button is, let's disable the publish button here. I think we can get like, actually, yeah, that's the post button. We've got it right there. Oh, I guess I should, It's the publish button, but the post variable always drives me crazy when you don't align the UI with the variables in the backend. I wonder if this supports renaming. Rename symbol. Publish button. Hey, that was pretty cool. Thanks, VS Code. See if it actually works. All right, so now we should be able to disable it as Copilot suggests here. Come down here and click publish, which sure enough, it's disabled. Cool. That was easy enough. Let's disable it. And then the next thing we want to do is change the value of it to publishing. There we go. And then we could probably just implement all of these and test them. They're all pretty straightforward. Disable it, replace the text with publishing. When the file is successfully published, replace with publish successful. And then re-enable it, importantly. So down here, this is where it would be successful. So we would do publish button dot enabled equals true, or disabled equals false. I'm not sure, actually, if those are, oh, sorry, disabled equals false. and then the value, set the value to publish. What do we say? Publish successful. Boom. All right, let's see how it goes. Something, something. Internet. Click publish, publishing, publish successful, publish successful. How about let's try spelling that correctly? Publish successful. What good is Copilot the pair programmer if it's not going to correct my spelling mistakes? I mean, that's like one of the main advantages of having a pair programmer. They correct your spelling mistakes. Cool. I think this is probably working. Let's go. And then it re-enables. Okay, so if I go through this whole process, it's going to re-enable the button. Huh. We probably want to like set a delay here where it transitions the button back to publish. Maybe like when they start typing again. And also, does it leave the content in here? This things that I'm not sure of. Testing out, posting again. Testing the publish button behavior. All right, so I click publish. Wow, it's fast. That was really nice. Now, it left the content up here for my previous post, or for the post that I just published. I guess that's desirable. I guess it's not undesirable. But we should probably transition this language. It's enabled again, but we should probably transition this language back to publish. And then what if we did that at the same time as re-enabling it? That'd be kind of cool. So then, what is it? Sleep. Whoa. This is probably a terrible idea, right? I actually want like an async function that will execute async function wait with a set timeout. This is interesting. So we might define this as a separate function. Re-enable or enable publish button. Alrighty, and oops. Don't know if it will have access to those. And then let's call it here. All right, let's see how this works. Oh, I actually have no idea what that is. 1,000, that's what? Is it milliseconds? Let's set timeout. Oh. Milliseconds. So that would be 1 second, right? Yeah. That might be too short. But let's test, well, let's see. Let's try two seconds and then see what happens. Am I doing that math right? 1,000 milliseconds. All right, don't trust your brain. Yeah, okay, 1,000 milliseconds equals 1 second. So 2,000 will be 2 seconds. I just didn't want to have to wait like 2 minutes or 20 seconds or whatever if I had gotten the code wrong there. So let's see. Testing, delaying the publish button update. Click publish, publishing, publish successful. Huh, it re-enabled, but it didn't change the value. Oh, that's because I didn't, so it worked. It's just that I hadn't done it correctly. Cool, all right, now we've got a nice little delay. that changes our publish button back to be enabled and changes the content, changes it back to be published. We could do like make it fade or something like to make it more obvious, and I think it's fine that we leave the content of the post in the body for now and don't clear it out. I think. I may change my mind about that, but it's a simple thing to change. All right, so let's go see our diff here. Well, that's confusing. Import publish. TF. I don't know why. I don't know how I accidentally did that. I must have accidentally clicked some command in the AP or in the IDE. All right, so now we renamed the publish button. Oh, because I have no idea. Don't know how that happened. Anyway, we've got our publish button thing. We add an event list. Yeah, we disable the publish button. Actually, I'm going to remove that comment here. I don't think it's really adding anything. That line is pretty readable on its own without a comment. Let's see, then in the success case, we change the value to be published successful, and then we enable the publish button a few seconds later, 2 seconds later. Yeah, this looks pretty clean. Okay. Give UI feedback when publishing a post. Cool. Okay, we are cooking with gas here. That's all done. Let's see, move the posted at date format from date to full timestamp. Man, okay, so I think we're really at a point where this is a pretty usable little blogging tool. The couple things I don't love. One is that I think the average user could get confused by the fact that when they publish a post that they also need to click build up here and rebuild the post or rebuild the site. We may want to like automatically trigger a build when a new post is published, but then also have like a manual build as an option. You might also want to remind them of like, hey, make sure to build the site. You published a new post. Yeah, so there's some things. This is the reconsider the UX around build that I don't love. But for now, it's at least usable for me. And I think I'm going to start using it to blog here, stream.jessmart.in. The last thing that would make it a little bit more usable for me would be actually having these be URLs that I could link to see so that I could send someone a direct link to just one of these posts. So I know that's kind of a big lift. Let's see, we've got 11 minutes left in this Pomodoro. We've got another Pomodoro coming up after this one. We might be able to finish that today, but the first thing we would want to do is get the posted at date to be a full timestamp as opposed to just a date. So let's start there and then see if we can get the rest of it done. All right, so this happens, there's two different places where we're gonna have to make some changes in order to move to a posted at, in order to move posted at from this format to a timestamp format. So the first place is where we write it out. So right now we're using toISO string here to split it out. And what we really just want to say is date dot now. That gives us our timestamp. And then the second place that we'll need to take this into account is, and interestingly, this is the same date dot now that we're using for the title. Yeah, right here. So we may want to grab, just so that they're the same, we may want to say const post timestamp equals date.now, and then post timestamp, it's that, And then here as well, post timestamp. All right, great. That ensures that those timestamps are the same. It'd be a little weird if you had the posted at date and the file name are slightly different. Okay. Then the next place we need to make the change is where we read the files in. So when we do the reading here, we actually do a, we make sure that posted at is here, and then we create a date from the posted at, and then we do some sorting. And then also we create a date down here. So when we create these dates, that's when we're going to need to get a little clever. So let's see, posted at date dot, let's see, ts equals const ts equals date dot now. So there's ts. And then what we want to know is, can I do a date? Is it, oops, new date with ts as the value? Yeah, that does work, I think. Yeah, cool. Well, that becomes pretty simple then. So what we'll want to do is grab those. They're probably not going to be strings though. I think they're going to be numbers, because of the way that YAML works. And then down here where we're getting posted at, it is not going to come in as a date. And so we'll need to do new date as number. And then the last thing, no, I think that's fine. I think everything else is okay, because when we get this new date, we can just do the toLocale string. Yeah. Yep. en-us with all the things, and yeah, you'll get the right thing. Cool. Okay, so this is all going to work out just fine. Are there any other places where we're doing stuff with dates? Okay. So the only other thing to note here, because we changed this as number, I'm not sure if we're going to get, well, I have an open question here around what's going to happen with our existing posts. So we've got these other posts in here that have the old format. Are those going to still work? Are they going to blow up? Are they going to be ignored? I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and create a new post. This is a new post with a timestamp as the posted at field. Click publish here. Nice. I like this little, the way that this works. Okay, so now I'm gonna come over here, hit refresh. Should have a new one. Whoa! Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of new ones because I've been messing around with this. There we go. So there's the posted at with the timestamp. Now let's click build and see what happens. Build was successful, it says. So it didn't blow up, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to see when I come here. So I'm refreshing stream. Huh. Interestingly, they seem to work fine. So that typecasting or whatever, basically the new date operation in JavaScript will accept either a number or a string. And so in this case, it doesn't really matter that we are using different formats, because the function accepts either one. It's kind of nice. I'm going to clear this directory out anyway when I get started actually building my real useful site. So now we only have one more thing to do. We've got 5 minutes to do it, which is make this link to a post. And let me see. Let's see how Linus does this. So if I go to stream.thecephist and I click on this, then I get updates. And under updates, I actually have the timestamp there. So that's an easy one for us to use. And he's using this, reusing this sort of partial and making that the only thing that's there. So that seems like an easy enough thing for us to do since we sort of have the same partial. He does remove the Linus's stream up here at the top, as well as the search. It just makes it this like standing alone. So yeah, we should be able to do that pretty quickly. Now the trick is, interesting. One trick is that we're going to have to iterate over the markdown posts and generate a new file for each one of those. And I'm trying to remember what's in our template. Template HTML has mumbler, about, and then it also has this Jess's mumbler at the top, which we actually want to get rid of, as well as a footer, which is empty. Two ways we could handle this. I'm going to take the brute force way. Let's, you know what, we could just leave Jess's mumbler at the top. Like, there's no big deal to have, you know, Jess's mumbler, and then, yeah, let's just leave it alone for now, and then we can always create, yeah, this will be pretty easy. Okay, so then here, generate the HTML for each markdown post and insert into template HTML. What we're going to want to do is, right now, we grab all of them and build up this blog post HTML. And what we're going to want to do this time is also create a file for this, or create a page for this post. This one's, so now we'll want to do const, this, all the language in here is around post, right? Or we're inside, okay, we are, markdown post. So yeah, that's fine. So this is going to be a new post page. Looking at how this other one works, we're going to want to grab the template. There's the template HTML. There's the template string. We've got the parser. So yeah, we're going to make a new doc here. And this is going to be called post doc from the template string. And then inside post doc, looking for the part where we insert, there it is, query selector. So post div equals that. And, or wait, maybe that is being reused. Inner post div and inner post div dot append child post doc. Wait, no. That should be reading from there. There we go. Yeah, because there's our post doc query selector. Yep. Okay, cool. And then we want to append the child. It is post div. So that's going to create our file, and then we want to write this page to IPFS. Got 42 seconds left to see if we can get this done. Here is our path that we're going to need. This is going to be the Updates, HTML path, updates. And this is not a file. How do we want to do this? Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then we'll do, gosh, running out of time here. So close. Cool. I had some other like thoughts or questions. Anyway, okay, great. We are now at the end of our third Pomodoro. We're gonna do one more Pomodoro after this. So right now, take a 5-minute break, come back and see if we can wrap up this and get Mumbler, get this PR merged and pushed out to production, and then kind of clean up my own personal Mumbler and start using this to blog with. So pretty cool. Made some great progress today. See you guys in 5 minutes. All right, welcome back to Coding with Jess. We are just about to kick off our fourth Pomodoro of the day. We've been working for about an hour and a half on Mumbler. If you can't hear the graveliness in my voice, I've been talking for an hour and a half straight. So yeah, that's the reality of it. So again, we're gonna put one more 25-minute timer on the clock and see how much we can get finished before our time runs out today. Cool. So in the middle of what we're working on right now is as we publish each one of these posts to our Mumbler blog over here, we thought it'd be really nice to have these URLs linked to a page with just the post content on it. That way it's easy to share the contents of a single post with someone who you want to share them with. And was working on that and we made some progress on it. Right now we're in the process of writing each post page to IPFS, and then we'll need to link to each post's page. All right, so here's our write this page to IPFS. There's the updates HTML path. Let me check that post date string and make sure that's the right thing. That's not exactly what we want. What we actually want is the markdown date posted at. Post date string is not our full timestamp. So there's that, markdown post data posted at. That's going to be the full timestamp .html, which should work fine. I would love to not have, HTML is how we want to render it, but I wonder, yeah, let's try this for now and see what happens. But then I'd love to be able to refer to that page without having to put append.html on the back end of it. But that could be like a server configuration thing. I'm not exactly sure. All right, so here's the file we've created, updates HTML path. This is add the post to the HTML of all posts. Okay, so that's that other thing. But now that we have a file, we actually need to do an fs.add. Here it is. Sweet. Boom. There's a wait. And the path that we want is updates HTML path. And the string that we want is postdoc. And I think there's something we need to do to that. Let's see. Yes, we have to serialize it. So let me get the serializer and move it up here because we're going to reuse the same one instead of creating one over and over. And the method that we want is serializer.serial. Oops. Let's take that and put that right here. And then we'll say post doc string equals that. Cool. So now we are taking that document that we've created up here. Wait. Here we go. This parser.parse from string is going to return an actual DOM document. See the document there? And then we're taking that document and serializing it to HTML before we store it in IPFS. So there's this is blog post added. Okay, that was quite a few changes. We haven't written tests around this or anything, so we tested live here. Let's see if we do the test, what we end up with. What we expect to see here, by the way, is we expect to see a new directory in my Fission drive called updates with a lowercase. Actually, no, it won't be in here. It'll be under apps, Mumbler. You'll see a new directory in here called updates, and inside that should be a bunch of HTML files, one for each post. So I should be able to come up here and click build. Let's go ahead and pop the console up so we can see any errors as they pop up, if there are any. Click build. There are 11 posts. Blog post added. 2, 3, 4, Interesting. Wonder why that's so slow. 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm really surprised that that's so slow. Huh. The build was pretty fast before. Not sure. We might want to do some profiling to figure out why that was super slow. But anyway, let's go see if it worked. Okay, refresh here. There's updates. Hey, and look at all these HTML files. Cool. Okay, so the last thing we would need to do then is actually link the updates, or link to each one of those files. So we'll start out by, let me uncomment this. Actually, it'll be updates slash $that markdown post.data.posted at. Okay, we've used that several times. We should probably pull that out. Const post timestamp equals markdown and then pull that out post timestamp .html. And then lastly here, we use it down here as well, post timestamp. Now, we should be able to go ahead and try this out before we even do anything else, which is update slash, what is that? Oh, notice that there's only one of these. I'm kind of surprised. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But there's 11 posts. Huh. Oh, because they're overriding each other. Ha! This is exactly why we went to a full timestamp format. You'll notice that there's 628, 628, 628, 628, all of these posts on 628 from today, or yesterday. Weird. Those were definitely posted today, and today is the 29th. Timestamps? Okay, we might want to look at our like date.now and how that's populated and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so when each of those is getting written out to the file system, they're getting overwritten, and yeah, you end up with like a single one. Anyway, let's grab this file name, not copy SID, maybe link to file, and grab that. Oh, shnikes. We're also going to want to update the CSS reference. That's okay. Let's do this first. Cool. There you go. So there is our updates. I wonder if I can leave that off. Doggone it. So I have to use .html on the ending there. Not a big deal, but a little inconvenient. And then the one thing that I just noticed is our CSS reference is relative, not absolute. And so we're going to want to say slash CSS, although I thought that it was stored inside of a CSS directory. Oh, it looks like we do both. That's kind of silly. Yeah, this is where it's going to be really nice having a proper framework around this as opposed to like building my own thing from scratch. But everything looks good now. Let's update. Yeah, let's go ahead and rerun the generator and see what we end up with. Are there any errors here? No. Okay. Over here, back to build again. Again, I'm so confused why this is so slow. 3, 4. Also, we're probably going to want to do the same thing we did with posting to disable this button and put building here. So it's a pretty simple UI fix that'll make it feel a lot faster. All right, build was successful. Let's go over here to my mumbler, refresh. Huh, did we not? I thought let's see. Inspect. That is definitely not or an updated copy of the thing here. Yeah, okay, permalink to this update. Oh, interesting. Yeah, we'll wanna, okay, so that was definitely wrong, but we're not seeing these things getting output at all. Interesting. Updates slash, yeah, it still has this commented out. It has the question marks there. Let me refresh again. There we go. Okay, cool. It just took a second. So now these should link to, yeah, there we go. Nice, and the CSS is resolved as well. So yeah, now you can go get a direct link into each one of these posts. Now we just need to fix that question mark thing there, and this overall, what we probably should do is link both of these things to the same place. The way that Linus has his setup is pretty neat in the sense that you can you can link to an entire day. I think that's a little further than I want to go right now. Man, that's a really cool URL on 2022/6/22. Anyway, we might want to implement something like that, but I'd rather do that in the context of a larger, using a proper framework, which we're probably going to rewrite this using Svelte. And this seems like a good enough solution if we just update these guys. All right. Okay, very cool. So neat that worked. Let's get this linked to updates/post timestamp as well. And this is not going to be updates on this date. It's also going to be a permalink to this update. All right, now we need to figure out how to get the timestamp here from a JavaScript date. Ah, good old JavaScript. We spend so much time messing with your get hours and minutes from JavaScript date. Get hours and get minutes. Sure. All right. I'm just going to do this. Oops. Date. Dot. Oh, sorry. New date. Get hours. Cool. All right. That's what we're going to do. And we're just going to do it post date dot get hours plus colon plus post date dot get minutes. Cool. That should be okay. All right, then we have the value. All that looks pretty good. Is there anything about? I do like his formatting of the date better than mine, the starting with the year. But I think this is fine for now. Oh, buddy. All right. So we are coming up on, we got 10 minutes left. Let's get this, run one more test here to make sure this is working. And then clicking build here. We'll make that real quick change that I just mentioned to the build icon, where it changes to building, because it is taking longer than I would like for it to build. Again, I'm not sure what the delay is there. Perhaps the IPFS add is the delay. I doubt it's like generating a document or searching a document. Like the DOM should be insanely fast. So yeah, let's definitely check that out in a second here. Cool. So if I go to visit site, this is actually the IPFS URL. Ooh, yeah, that's going to be a problem. We're going to have to do relative URL, like not absolute rate relative to the root, but yeah, our CSS is going to be broken. That stinks. Oh no. And we've got a CSS problem here where we're not pushing. Oh, you know what? I think I adjusted my CSS because I just borrowed the CSS from Linus. I think I adjusted my CSS such that the left margin over here on the update is less than what he uses. How did we do this? Update TF. Yeah, it's this width here. That's what it is. So if we go over to our CSS, I remember feeling like it was too wide without the timestamp, and now that we've added the timestamp back in, actually I want it to be a little more narrow, or I mean a little wider. I want it to go back to that original width. The thing we're searching for is update-t, or not. Oh, wrong style sheet. We actually want that template style. There we go, update-t. I was looking at the timestamp for Mumbler, the writer UI. Okay, now we want the width here. Yeah, update-t. There we go. Ha! There we go. Increased. Look at that. I even left a comment for myself. I'm so proud of me. Increased to 134 to make room for the clock stamp. Wow, that was so thoughtful of you, Jess. Okay. Now, yeah, we should be able to do a real quick write. Oh, and the thing that I was just pointing out is, doggone it. So we're going to have to split our template HTML. We might as well do it now. Into one that's a template for the blog post and one that's a template for the overall index. So this is, we might as well just go ahead and rename them to index template and, whoa, hey, I said rename. I wasn't kidding. Index template. There we go. And then a new file in post template. And then our post template is going to need to have different, it's going to have the same CSS, or sorry, the same HTML from index template with a couple of minor changes. And this is where we may want to, like, there's a lot of duplication between these two files, but the dry principle says when you're only going to repeat yourself twice, that you don't have to, like, fix it. Or, yeah, anyway. So what we'll need to do here is, say, go back 2 directories to get to style CSS, I think, because there's updates. I guess it's back 1 directory. Go back a directory and then pick up the styles from there. And then this other one, index template, is going to say pick up the styles from this directory because this is the directory we're actually in. And then finally, oh, duh. I figured out how we could do the, oh, I'm such a goober. Okay, cool. I figured out how we could get those fancy URLs that we want. And that's just, we fake the URLs using directories and index.html. Yes, yes. Okay, we're gonna make that change too, because that's gonna make me very happy. So in this case, it'll be, you go back. Now, we'll need to go back twice. And don't worry if I've like lost you now because I had a epiphany. We're gonna go back 2 directories to pick up the style. This is gonna be awesome. Okay, great. And then the other change that I made to the index.html is I erased the h1 at the top so that we can make it just the post the way that Linus does it, as opposed to having like Jess's stream at the top. Cool. Alrighty. This is gonna be fun. So now we've got post template and index template. Let's go back over to our TS over here. let's grab template.html, and we're actually going to fetch index template in this case. And then we'll probably, I'll leave it as template and template string. I kind of want to change all these to be, all right, fine. We'll use, I don't really use these kind of things very often, but we'll just do it. Index template, rename, index template string, and then this will be index template doc, whoops, index template doc. Okay, so now inside here, we're actually going to want to grab a different, oh, right, we should go ahead and grab it once up here so that when we're making new ones, we don't have to grab it over and over again. So this is going to be the post template, and post template, post template string, post template text. Okay. Then down here, when we are creating a new doc, the post doc, we need to create it from the post template string. Post template string. Cool, that works. And then the inner post div, everything else should be just fine. Now, here's our little cool little change we're going to make. We're going to introduce another directory here. And this directory is going to be the post timestamp. And then we will call the file in there index.html. Make this into double quotes now. HTML. And these will give us the fancy file names that that'll look so nice. And then we'll go back from that directory, back one more directory to Mumbler to pick up the CSS. Yeah, this is gonna rock. I'm excited to get this working. We made our fix to the overall CSS, which bumps over the post thing to make space. Yeah, this is all gonna work really well. Okay, so let's hope it works really well. How much time do we have left? 2 minutes, 38 seconds. Go, go, go. All right. And we still wanted to make that change to build. Anyway, we will in a second. All right, cool. So it's building. Go, go, go. Added the blog post. Oof. I'm pretty sure this is like IPFS running slow on my local machine. Not exactly sure. Go, go, go. 7, 8. Wow. Interesting. Just, you guys probably haven't noticed this, but just over the last few minutes, I've noticed my machine slowing down a little bit. And I'm wondering if this is like IPFS running locally on my machine that's causing that, or it is getting a little hotter in here, and this machine does have a tendency to like overheat a little bit. All right, saved, updated, build successful. Cool. I should be able to go to visit site and this time actually have CSS. Aw, womp womp. Why no CSS? Let's go inspect head. Okay, so this is the old. There we go. Sweet. All right, now I should be able to click in. Oh, this is also, wait. Oh, we didn't change our link format. So I think we're writing everything successfully. We can check this out really quick by going here and then typing updates / index, whoops. All right, hold on. / index.html. What? Did it not work? Do we have to create the directory? Like what happens if, well, let's go find out. Vision Drive. So we didn't manually create each one of those directories inside the updates directory. So let me go to updates. Yeah, there they all are. And there's index. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe I accidentally changed the... No, this all looks good, man. I'm not sure why this isn't showing up. Updates. Oh, because I deleted. Okay, I got it. Okay, cool. Let's give ourselves 5 more minutes to wrap up here. I figured out what the problem was. If you click here. Oh, our links are not relative either. Our links are absolute. Okay, cool. So a couple changes here, and I think we'll be in a good spot to wrap up for the day. We're going to want to make these links relative so that it handles things inside of an IPFS, inside of subdirectories effectively. And then we're going to make this, oops, make it a link to just that, drop off the HTML on the end, and then we should get those really nice fancy URLs. All right, let's click build one more time. Hopefully this starts going a little faster because that was like super slow build. Blog post added, 2, 3. Oh my goodness, that's slow. We're gonna figure out why that is. But all in all, not in bad spot here. 8, 9. Come on. 10, 11. Oh man, this has been such a good work session today. Blog post saved, style sheet saved. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Updating your DNS link. Cool. Now let's go over to stream.jessmart.in. Refresh. We should now have like spacing here. It looks okay, hopefully. Nope, it's still taking a second to refresh here. Ah, there we go. Cool. Now we've got the proper spacing. Click in here. Oh, that's the old format though. There we go. There's the new link format. Nice! Check out those fancy little URLs there. We've got a post. Man, all right, this is looking good. These links won't work. All right, so we'll have to do make one more change here around how these links work in the case of linked inside there, but all in all, this looks really good. Okay, so back over here, let's do a real quick check-in. Deep link to timestamp based post pages. Cool. All right, and go ahead and throw up a GitHub PR on that, and then as soon as we have seen that build successfully, I will go ahead and, there it is, compare and merge. I'll drop a list. Actually, what we can do here is drop this in there. Nice thing about having a text file is we can go ahead and drop all that in. Cool. All right, create PR. Awesome. This will, in just a second, pop up a build deploy preview in Netlify, and we can check this out, make sure that it's all building properly, and go ahead and merge this in. Whoo! Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out for Coding with Jess. Today was actually a really productive day. Felt really good. Even managed to fix a TypeScript typing error in like less than 25 minutes. So that's definitely a win for me. If you've watched the last couple of months, you'll know that I've struggled with that at times. So felt really good. We went down a checklist and made a bunch of like little UI improvements really towards this goal of taking this proof of concept of a decentralized blogging tool and making it so that anybody could use it to write out a decentralized blog to IPFS and own their own files. So kind of fun. I'm going to go ahead and get this merged in and get Mumbler up, and you might see some stuff from me on Twitter about it over the course of this week. But thanks for hanging out. We'll be back again next Wednesday, probably for more work on Mumbler, although we'll see what strikes me as I work throughout the week. Thanks for hanging out, and have a great rest of your day.